And to viewers, let me just say, if you thought you've heard everything, wait till you hear this. Now, Alex Antic, the senator from South Australia, a very talented man, has written a splendid piece arguing that for 2 years, the trust that many Australians have in their institutions has been brought to an all-time low through the relentless incursions into their lives and liberty. He has argued that many of these incursions during coronavirus were cruel and unnecessary and failed to address the concerns of Australians who valued, quote, the fast evaporating tenet of freedom of choice. Before we get on to this other issue, just amplify that point, Alex.
Yeah, look, I think it really comes back to what I think has been the litmus test for where we're up to, which has been the COVID period. I think people have gone from thinking, well, you know, all of our institutions are here to look after us, to this sort of uneasy realisation that governments and institutions are not always pulling in the same direction. Frankly, we saw that. Many different instances, too many instances to even talk about now. But unfortunately, COVID, we saw it here in South Australia. Even people like myself thrown into a Medi hotel at the behest of a public servant, a bureaucrat with no right of recourse. That's the sort of stuff that really takes people's trust away from the old institutions.
We just had to accept. We were told to accept QR codes, density limits, border restrictions, a loss of medical autonomy. How do we surrender to all this?
Well, I think fear ultimately is the main precursor. I think that what has been most surprising has been at the start of this pandemic, we heard that old maxim, we're all in this together. And then slowly it became, we're all in this except for those who refuse to take the injections or refuse to wear a mask. Fear did it. And unfortunately, it's overcoming that fear. People are starting to realise, I'm hopeful they'll realise what's happened and where we've gone. But the problem with this stuff is, Alan, we never get the freedoms back unless there's someone there to champion them. And this is where politics has got to grow a spine and start pushing back on these, because bureaucrats, one thing they love is control. One thing they love is keeping that power. And that is a battle ahead of us.
Absolutely, because the vaccines, the Prime Minister of the day said the vaccines were voluntary. But then they became a prerequisite for work. And as you say, this cut livelihoods, it devastated families, and it undermined the trust in governments and the medical establishment. But the public have no say. We were just told to comply, COVID to be over quickly, but then the goalposts continue to shift. And now we have this. Now, we may not get time tonight to go to through this in the detail it requires, and if so, Alex, I'll bring you back. But we have this trusted digital identity bill. What the hell is this? Is it before the Parliament? And if so, who's presented it to the Parliament?
Well, first of all, you can tell it's trusted because it's got it in the name. That's the first giveaway. It's always the way. Bell's the cat on this. This is the first alarm bell for me, is the word trusted in the title. Now, what this basically is a piece of legislation that is not before Parliament yet, as I understand it, but has gone through a consultation process. It's designed to create a digital ID for every Australian, compiling all of your buying habits, all of your social habits, all of your religious preferences. Everything you do online, everything you do out in the wider world is to be collated into one identification number and document. And it's being pitched along the lines of, this is safe, it'll help safety online, and it'll be one of those things that's marketed in the sense of it will provide you with convenience. Once again, coming back to this issue of giving up our information, giving up our liberty, sacrificing it at the altar of convenience. Now, you're right, this is a massive topic. We probably don't have time to go through it now, but Australians need to be alarmed about this. They need to be alarmed about this. This ultimately will come to Parliament in the next period, probably the next few months. And what it will do is set up the very basic setup for a social credit style system. You've seen what's happened in Canada with the freedom rallies and the truckers over there. If we don't take this very seriously and look at this properly and dispose of it, we're going to get the same thing here.